Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. How bad is the SNP when one of its most senior members says it is rotten to the core, and if forensic accountants aren't brought in, he will quit? Now, this is the words and the sentiments of Bill Ramsey. Bill Ramsey sits on the National Executive Committee. He is the trades union convener on the NEC. And he says that the current leadership needs to get a grip and sort it out and get these forensic accountants in, because otherwise the party will, basically end. It will implode and it will be destroyed. And he's not alone. Obviously, yesterday I did the story about Alex Neil, who also wanted and demanded that forensic accountants were brought in. And there's others who, whilst they echo the sentiments, are not giving their names. They want to remain anonymous. But there is a growing backlash against Ramsey Yousaf about this secrecy, about this perceived corruption, perceived fraud that's going on at the upper echelons of the party. A fish rots from the head, and this particular fish, of course, is a sturgeon. And the rot is coming down the entire body of the SNP. And so these people who are currently desperately calling for it to be sorted, for some people to be brought to book effectively, and for the accounts to be completely expunged of all wrongdoing. And they're quite right to call it. So we'll take a look at this article, see who's saying what, and see what the repercussions may be. Here goes. So SNP NEC members blast their own party as rotten to the core and hint at quitting if no forensic auditor is brought in. The civil war within the SNP has been ratcheted up a gear as one member threatened to quit and another called for the NEC to be disbanded, as Ramsey Yousaf's term as First Minister continues to be a nightmare. And it's all, of course, her fault. She has started this mess. She will ultimately be responsible for the destruction of the SNP because of her single-minded stupidity and attitude, just obsession, a constant obsession with getting that gender bill through. Anyway, the SNP Civil War has been ratcheted up a gear as members of their elected committee, the NEC, have blasted their own party over its financial transparency, or lack thereof, we should be saying. There is no financial transparency. There's no transparency anywhere in the SNP. One member, Bill Ramsey, even claimed he would quit the NEC if the SNP refuses to bring in forensic auditors to investigate its accounts. A call made by former Minister Alex Neil. I did the video on that one yesterday. Another anonymous elected member also described the Nationalists as rotten to the core and claimed that the secretive cabal of senior figures, including the power couple Sturgeon and Murrell, had controlled the party. And they had controlled it for far too long. And when you control something that long, the corruption always sets in. These revelations will be another blow to First Minister Ramsey Yousaf, who is looking like he has already lost the dressing room just 3 weeks into taking the role. He's finished. He's finished already. He has got no authority anymore. People are not giving him the respect. They're not scared of him. They're starting to look towards Kate Forbes. It's as simple as that. He is already finished as leader. He claimed that he has ordered a governance review of the party in a bid to quash a lack of transparency claims, but he stopped short of ordering independent forensic auditors to investigate it because he knows he's likely to have his hands all over it, or at least the very hands of those who backed him, and he dare not do it. Mr. Ramsey, who is the convener of the SNP trade union group, told the National that he had been calling for more transparency since last year, but he was rebuffed. He said, "I have also made repeated calls for a paper outlining the liabilities affecting NEC members and its relation to matters of governance. I am still awaiting a written response to that reasonable request. My call for a full-day NEC meeting to address the way the party is run is still being resisted, it seems, with the next NEC on Saturday the 15th of April, once again being just a half-day event. This and talk of a review is not taking the need for urgent change nearly seriously enough. The reason being is that the NEC the SNP do not seriously want to change. They like the little setup they have. the privacy, the secrecy, the money in paper bags being handed out through back windows. It is a completely corrupt, fraudulent organisation. He said, anyway, continuing, Bill Ramsey continued and said, if the call to appoint forensic auditors is not moved forward, I will have to seriously consider whether I can continue on the NEC. So he's saying either get them in or he quits. And I have a feeling he won't be the only one who quits. Another NEC member also blasted the governance in the party and demanded that the SNP headquarters be disbanded so that an inquiry can be launched to help save the party from an electoral disaster. And it will be disastrous. They're losing members and they're losing trust. They're losing all credibility. They are now being seen for what they are, which is a corrupt cabal of criminals. It's as simple as that. They told the Daily Mail, if anyone had sense, the entire NEC should be disbanded right now. The HQ should be disbanded. Everything that has happened over recent weeks meant I saw the news. The auditors had resigned and I thought, you know what? I'm not even surprised anymore. That's just how rotten to the core the party has become. Things like this aren't surprising. The NEC has no knowledge of this. It hasn't even been mentioned in passing. Yeah, I mean, this is something else I picked up on that video. The auditors quit, and Sturgeon was there saying, don't worry, the account's fine, there's nothing to look at, move along, please don't ask questions. Questions are not helpful. And she hadn't told the NEC, her own executive council, that the auditors had quit. This is how serious it is. I don't know how she has not been arrested and has not been questioned at length under caution by the police. Mr Yousaf also revealed that he had not been told about the party's long-term auditors quitting last September, only finding out about it when he became First Minister, he says. The anonymous NEC member also revealed that it used to be updated on discussions at the SNP's Finance and Audit Committee, but they had not heard anything about this for about 2 years. They added, the party want the public to think the NEC is running it, so you've got people elected at conference who then make decisions. But none of that happens. It is Kirsten Oswald, who's an MP and business convener, and it has been Peter Murrell, Scott Martin, the nominating officer, and Ian McCann, the compliance officer, who make all the decisions. They come into a meeting and say, this is what we're doing. There's never a chance to discuss things. We have got 4 or 5 folk, if you include Nicola, who've been making all the decisions. This close cohort, this close, long-term, almost incestuous cohort at the very top. There's no democratic liability here. Nobody's discussing anything. Everything is secret. Everything is discussed behind closed doors and edicts are issued. It is effectively a dictatorship. And they will not allow anyone to discuss anything that they don't want. And they certainly don't want questions asked. They also claim that Miss Oswald is the most powerful member of the NEC, even though she is one of the only unelected members as business convener. The NEC has 42 members, including national office bearers, such as the new SNP leader, Mr Yousaf, and regional members from local branches. Many other members are said to share the same concerns, but are scared to speak about it. Well, I think they may previously have been scared to speak about it. But I think since Sturgeon's gone, and you now have the weak, knee-knocking, trembling rabbit that is Hamza Yousaf, I don't think that fear exists anymore. I think people are starting to stand up, question it, look him in the eye and saying it's not good enough, and then they're threatening to quit, and they're demanding that something is done. And that is why Hamza Yousaf cannot be leader. He has got no respect, and people are not scared of him, and they are questioning him. And so there we go. So I shall finish there. I shall come up and we shall end the video. How many more? How many more NEC members? How many more MSPs? How many more MPs? How many more councillors? How many more employees, staff levels? How many more will suddenly stand up, find the courage and reject what's going on and demand change and demand that Hamza Yousaf either fixes the problem or resigns? I don't think he's got long left in the role. It's clear now that he cannot maintain discipline, and that he has no real power, even though he's designated the leader. I don't think anyone's actually listening to him anymore. They're kind of just wanting their own thing, which is for transparency, which of course Hamza Yousaf cannot give. He's so deeply tied up with everything that's gone on before that transparency would expose him, possibly to criminal charges. Who knows? But certainly they would tarnish his reputation and his name to such an extent that he would immediately become toxic, immediately become an electoral liability. Not that the whole of the SNP is not now suddenly an electoral liability anyway, given what's happening. I think it's about time that Scotland actually had an election, simply because the SNP are now ungovernable. They cannot be trusted in government, seeing as they cannot even be trusted to govern their own party. They are rudderless, leaderless, clueless and hopeless. And I shall finish there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. Please God, stay well away from the SNP and do not vote for them. They'll damage you. And goodbye.